How should a woman be entering into your courtroom thinking they're going to get a fair shake if you won't even tell us when and how your mind was changed on this? And you've now referenced twice this concern about live issues.
Senator, the live issues that you're referencing are based on certain comments.
I want to know
that
what
I've
you're
made.
referencing.
Senator, the live issues that I'm referencing are matters of policy.
So what item is working its way through the judiciary that may well appear on the Ninth Circuit for you to consider and rule on?
What does it say about our country when a man is dragged through the mud for something he wrote in college just because it doesn't fit the woke agenda? Today, we're looking into the interrogation of judicial nominee Mr. Tong, a man being dismantled not for breaking laws, not for misconduct, but for having opinions as a college student 2 decades ago. That's right, 20 years ago. This is the Prodigy Unfiltered.
Wonderful. Padilla. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, I want to follow up on an issue and comments that were raised by Ranking Member Durbin, because I've had the opportunity to take a look at Mr. Tong's background. We've had an opportunity to have a conversation via Zoom. And I know he has strong views about how other people's families should function and what women should be allowed and not allowed to do. I'll quote from Mr. Tong's previous writings. He has criticized the so-called, quote, welfare state for the, quote, dissolution of the family, end quote. He has said he, quote, believes in emphasizing family and what it means for a woman to be a good wife and partner, end quote. He has said, and I find this reprehensible, that he, quote, believes in gender roles and that women are simply better than men at some things. When these radical feminists try to blur gender roles, they undermine institutions like marriage, institutions which hold society together, end quote. Mr. Tong, can you list for us the things that you believe are, quote, simply women are, quote, simply better at than men?
Senator, again, the comments you're referencing and captured by a Yale Daily News reporter were captured over 20 years ago when I was an undergraduate in college.
Yes, I understand that, but that was 2006, not 1956. Even the year 2006, I don't think the country's mood, let alone the law, was what you're suggesting here.
Senator, my wife is sitting behind me, and I can tell you that she is better at many things, and not just some things, than I am. She worked on the Hill, she worked in the White House, and she worked for a Fortune 1 company.
So then do you still believe that women should stay home and not go out into the workplace?
Senator, the suggestion that I think women should not be provided with the same professional opportunities as men is inaccurate.
So at what point in the last 20 years, not 50 or 60, just in the last 20 years, did your mind change on this?
Senator, my views on policy matters and sociological matters that you're referencing, again, are the subject of wide debate. And for that reason, as a nominee sitting here today before the committee, I cannot
But there's a couple of reasons that bring
candidates.
this up, and there are some other issues I want to get to. But first of all, I think for any person to come into a courtroom, they deserve to know that they're going to be given a fair trial, fair consideration in a proceeding. So given your very public past comments, not long ago history, relatively recent history, how should a woman be entering into your courtroom thinking they're going to get a fair shake if you won't even tell us when and how your mind was changed on this? And you've now referenced twice this concern about live issues. So what item is working its way through the judiciary that may well appear on the Ninth Circuit for you to consider and rule on?
Senator, every litigant who would come before my court, should I be so lucky to be confirmed as a judge, would be treated with, man or woman, would be treated with equality, dignity, and respect.
Well, that's why we're asking this question. But what are the live issues that you're referencing that keep you from answering Senator Durbin's questions and my questions?
Senator, matters of policy and of sociology.
What is the live issue you're referencing that's keeping you from answering Senator Durbin's question and my question?
Senator, I apologize. I'm not understanding the question.
Well, you are hiding behind a, quote, live issue concern for not answering Senator Durbin's question or my question.
Senator, the live issues that you're referencing are based on certain
No,
comments.
I want to know
that
what
I've
you're
made.
referencing.
Senator, the live issues that I'm referencing are matters of policy and sociology that impinge on gender-related issues.
So anything that could be a topic of conversation anywhere in the country at any time will keep you from answering our specific questions. Let me move on to one more item then. Because you've been a prolific writer, not just on your views about women, but on views on American workers. My colleague, Senator Schiff, raised an incident, a Labor Day protest that you were one of the leaders of you were president at the time for the Committee for Freedom. The protest in question, protesters there had a message, quote, "End mandatory maternity leave. It hurts women." Others held signs that said, "Workers of the world, get back to work." And Mr. Tong specifically wanted to tell the Yale campus that unionized labor hurts consumers. Mr. Tong, is this you holding a sign that says union no?
Senator, that is me from over 20 years ago when I was in college exercising my First Amendment rights.
Absolutely, and I defend your First Amendment rights, but I also defend labor rights and labor protections in this country. So just as I asked with women a few minutes ago, if a labor issue is before you, how can working men and women come into your courtroom and feel like they're going to get a fair shake given your clearly strong views, not in the long ago past, but in the relatively recent past?
Senator, when one puts on the robe, the person's role changes qualitatively. And I can assure this committee, and I commit to this committee, that if I were fortunate to be confirmed as a judge, I will evaluate each argument advanced by the parties respectfully, carefully, and with the scrutiny that it deserves.
Do you recant this and your other comments that I've cited here today?
Senator Barrett.
Senator, again, live issues on policy, I cannot comment.
You do not recant.
Judicial
Thank you.
canons.
Mr. Tong, and thank you both for being here. I'd like to give you an opportunity to talk about your wife again. I heard what you said about her. I know what it means to be.
Let me walk you through this circus act, and trust me, it is a circus. The left-wing senators, led by what can only be described as professional outrage artists, came after Mr. Tong for daring to express traditional views on family, gender roles, and yes, the importance of institutions like marriage. You know, the very values this country was built on. He has said, quote, believes in gender roles and that women are simply better than men at some things. Wow. The horror. Imagine that someone in America once said men and women are different and complement each other. Folks, this isn't radical, it's biology. It's common sense. Now, of course, the senator spins this into some dystopian narrative like Tong wants women barefoot in the kitchen. Complete nonsense. Mr. Tong, respectfully, stood his ground. He acknowledged those writings came from his college days, you know, when you're allowed to be a little idealistic, maybe even provocative. And still, he made it clear. He believes in equality. He respects his wife's professional accomplishments, and he has no problem with women in the workforce. But was that enough for the senator? Nope. Because to them, once you've said something they don't like, even 20 years ago, you're marked for cancellation. It's their way or no way. What a loaded, dishonest question. He never said that. But the left doesn't want answers. They want confession. They want submission. And here's where it gets even more disturbing. Mr. Tong explained he couldn't speak on certain topics because they could be live issues that might come before the court. That's Judicial Ethics 101. You don't prejudge cases or social issues that may land on your desk. But to the left, that's evasion. No, it's integrity. He's not going to virtue signal just to get approved. That's strength. That's what we need on the bench. But they're terrified of that because Tong isn't their puppet. He's independent. He has the backbone to say, I've evolved, but I'm not going to be bullied into parroting your narrative. Now, this one made me stand up and cheer. They dragged up a sign he held in college during a protest about union policies and acted like he committed a federal crime. Oh no. He dared to say mandatory maternity leave might have side effects for women and unionization might not help everyone. How dare he question big labor? Patriots, Mr. Tong was exercising his First Amendment rights. That's exactly what America's about. But the woke mob wants those rights only for themselves. Free speech for drag queens and Marxists, but not for conservative thinkers on Ivy League campuses. Now, let's be clear. This entire charade wasn't about fairness or qualifications or justice. This was a purity test, and if you're not sufficiently woke, they want you disqualified from public service. But we the people see through this. We're sick of these political witch hunts. We want judges who follow the Constitution, not activists who follow Twitter trends. So, here's my message to the Senate and to America. Stop punishing people for thinking differently. Stop weaponizing past beliefs that don't match your current political religion. Let judges be judges, not social justice referees. Mr. Tong stood tall under pressure. He didn't grovel, he didn't cry, he didn't cave. That's the kind of person I want sitting on the bench, not someone who folds the minute the woke mob comes knocking. If you're tired of the radical left trying to erase traditional values, if you believe in the First Amendment, fairness in courtrooms, and the right to grow as a person without being crucified for your past, then share this video. Comment, stand tall, down below to show your support for men and women of courage like Mr. Tong. This is Prodigy Unfiltered. Like, share, subscribe, and stay in the fight. God bless America.